Hi, my name is Rod Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. So as you guys know, this is where we interview people that are crushing it in this business, and we show you guys the inside scoop into how multifamily investors are creating massive success in their businesses and frankly, in their lives as well. And as always, I've got my co-host, who's the director of our massive action team for the Warrior Mentorship Group, Mark Nagy, on the call. Mark, what's up, brother?
Hey, not too much, Rod. Just coming towards the end of the year here, which means back to in-person events. So
right.
Can't wait to get out there and finally shake some hands and meet some people in person.
Oh, I know.
But,
I know it's been rough. We've got our Orlando event coming up December 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Very excited about that. That's multifamilybootcamp.com if you want to check that out. Tickets are the stupid reasonable, so it's kind of a no-brainer especially if you live anywhere near this state. But listen, we've got a great guy on today who we're interviewing. His name's Phil Klima, and Phil's been in the Warrior program over 2 years. He's, averaged 100 units a year since he's been in the program. He actually owns a large auto dealership in Cleveland, and actually has done those units on his own without outside funds. But anyway, Phil, welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you, man.
Awesome to be here. Great to see you, Rod.
Yeah.
And Mark.
So listen, why don't you take a minute and just talk a little bit about your background and why you love real estate, and we'll just take it from there.
Yeah. First, and before I do, I just want to say, thank you for the podcast that you do. I have gotten personally so much value out of listening, and I've listened to some episodes more than once, Albert Perez and some of these big guys, and it's just been very motivating for me. So thank you for that. Keep up the awesome work.
Thanks, brother. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So we started out, honestly, we were buying houses, in the greater Cleveland area and like renovating them, foreclosures, and reselling them. And we did that for a few years, and it kind of was a hobby more than a business for us. And we enjoyed it. Rod, I just honestly didn't understand the rental game at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So after seeing how transactional that was and how the accounting looked on that, making a few bucks, once we really dug in and learned more about the rental piece, we sort of pivoted then and probably started maybe in the wrong place. Didn't start with apartments, right? So we kind of knew the single family houses, and we continued and sort of bought BC class level rental properties in the greater Cleveland area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's some markets of Cleveland that are sketchy. I know I've been there. There's some great markets. There's some great markets there too.
Yeah. There's war zones, and there's, like, you might say, there's certain parts of certain sides of town that you wouldn't want for any price, right?
Right.
So we were kind of, cherry picking, buying from, like, let's say tax foreclosure sales, mortgage foreclosure sales, direct to owner, wholesalers, and trying to get, decent areas, if that makes sense.
So why did you shift to multifamily? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So in the beginning, again, just frankly, not knowing before I was with your
Mm-hmm.
Warrior group and some other masterminds, I thought that the best way to approach this was to go and buy these rougher foreclosures and use cash. So we were doing that, and we were getting good deals. We would buy a house in the greater Cleveland area. It might have been $30,000, $40,000. We'd get it rent ready, whatever that looked like, $8K, sometimes $10K, $15K. And we were getting $800 or $900 a month rent. And we're like, wow, that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. We got up to about 30 houses that way in a pretty short time. And then we had the opportunity to do one deal and get 31 units. It was a mix of like singles and doubles with a bank loan. And once we did that, we really realized that, okay, we just did one deal. We signed some loan papers. We went from 30 to 61 in one day. So so it was kind of an eye-opening experience for us.
Yeah. Now, I was actually wanting to go a little deeper than that because you've got, significant revenue from your car dealership. So, you've got the blessing of that. I know you've been in that business with your father for 20 years now, I think, if I read right.
Yeah, correct.
And so, what else about real estate do you love? Why did you even bother with it? I guess, let me ask it that way.
So it's a great question. So Rod, as we grew our auto business, we never were like big guys that were in the stock market, all this crypto stuff, and that's great. And God bless the people that are killing it there. But we were always so focused on our auto business, and we were fortunate, and we still are, and we're blessed. And it's always been a very healthy business. But with that, there's a big tax piece.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You got it. You got it.
All right.
So, yep. So that was one big thing. And just when we got into real estate and really started learning the buy and hold thing, we could see what would happen to the balance sheet. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the tax benefits for someone in your position are just incredible.
Incredible.
Right.
Incredible. Yep.
So, what suggestion would you have for someone? I'm stealing all the questions here, Mark. I'm sorry. What suggestions would you have for someone starting out in this business? We've got a lot of people that listen that haven't done a deal yet. So, what might you tell them?
Well, here, I think for us, it was really beneficial to sort of get out there and pivot from, we were doing nicer renovations, suburban type homes, little higher end type stuff, to pivoting into that like BC class. And I learned so much just by doing, a few houses, half a dozen, up to a dozen, just about the rehab process, the property management piece in that class. It's a different experience for 6 months or a year. And so for us anyways, this is not a blanket statement and maybe wouldn't work for anybody, but for us, just kind of like getting our feet wet, getting our hands dirty, if you will, was a big benefit.
Yeah. Totally. That's how a lot of people, really get acclimated to this business. And it's a great framework for multifamily because the same things apply. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Well put. Yep.
So Phil, one of the biggest things that I always get that my team and I, when we're talking to people that are looking to get into this business, is time, right? I got a full-time job. I got a business. How can I start this thing? How did you go about finding the time to build this business, being so busy, running a car dealership?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. I'll tell you, we were very hands-on in our auto business. And I think that between having some good mentors, some good friendships with some people that were helpful. One person in particular is a wonderful friend of mine and mentor, and then my father, and just good people around us. You just sort of make it happen. I told my wife, we've got 2 young kids. I told my wife, I said, look, we're going to be working 7 days a week. I'm going to be on the phone at night. And I had a lot of nights coming home after 7 or 8 o'clock at night from the store and putting in another few hours worth of work. And that just compounds month after month after month, looking at deals, underwriting deals. You just got to make it happen.
Yeah. There is some sacrifice. I mean, and you've got to recognize there's going to be some sacrifice. And one of the things I teach at my boot camps and with my warriors is to make sure they don't lose sight of what's most important as well. And i.e. the children, their spouses, and make sure they carve out time for them. And as you know, Phil, so let me ask you this. What would you say is the most challenging part of this multifamily game, or what did you encounter as the most challenging, if anything comes to light when I ask that question?
Well, yeah. So when I first began to get some really good relationships with some local bankers, I kind of could read through the tea leaves and see that if we wanted to start buying larger buildings, 60, 70, 80 units, 90 units, it's kind of our sweet spot. that they felt a lot more comfortable that we had a schedule of real estate with 60 plus units. Because after we bought that last deal, we had bought a little 6-unit. So we had almost 70 units, and it kind of comforted them that, hey, you know what? These folks have almost 70 units and they're looking to buy a 72 unit building. It was a lot simpler, for us without going in with a big team of people.
Well, so how that would equate to someone that doesn't have that many units would be align with somebody that does. Okay,
yeah, and
right?
what you teach, exactly
Right.
what you teach. There's so many fantastic people, I think, in the Warrior program, and with different skills.
Right.
And it's just there. Just go get it.
And a lot of units too. I mean, I don't know if you know this, Phil. I believe we're over 45,000 units owned in there, and I haven't even been teaching 4 years yet. So I'm super proud of that. So there's a ton of units in there too. So you can align with people that have some. I don't care if it's in the Warrior program or not, but you align with people that have some units, and then you've got credibility, not just with the bankers, with the brokers, with potential investors, and everybody else. And that's kind of what I was looking for.
You've said it so many times that it's a team sport, and you've said it hundreds of times. And if people learn that early on, and if that sinks in, I think that's a huge piece.
So on that topic, Phil, obviously, I know you mentioned earlier, I think you said you had about 80 or 90 units before you joined the Warrior Group. Now you're at 300 plus. So you had some doors before you came on our team here, right? What was the shifting point that made you decide, hey, I don't want to just continue to do this on my own and I want to join a group? What was your thought process like there?
So that's a great question. I had set some sort of modest goals, cash flow wise, just concrete goals, like we all do, right? And I think our first goal was we had said, hey, if we could net $10,000 a month from this little rental business, that would be really great, right? We live in Greater Cleveland. We're not in Orange County. We're not in the compound where Rod is, right? Where things are expensive in different parts of the country. So where we are, we have the benefit that, an extra, let's say 10,000 a month, that was like a big number, right? And now it's like, we're like beyond adding a zero. So it's just, things change, your goals change, I think, and that's healthy and that's part of life.
What's driving you now, buddy? I mean, you're certainly beyond comfortable. What's driving this? Because I know you want to now. You're ready to actually maybe raise money. You want to get to 1,000 doors. I know I saw that in your notes to me that's your next goal, and so that'll involve bringing some outside money in. But what's driving that? Is it what's the why?
Yeah, well, here I think the more that we do business, I think it comes down to just trying to reach your potential. And I think sometimes people can get comfortable. They might say, well, we've got this much cash flow, or our business is doing that. And for me, and I don't mean this, it's a game, and it's just, we just enjoy it. We enjoy our automobile business. It's fun. The real estate business, it really is fun. And we just want to reach our potential, just get a little bit better every day. And we just think that the sky's the limit.
Guys, I hope you heard that, because when you can have that approach to this business, or any business, if it's not real estate, whatever it is, that you consider it fun and you play with it. In fact, my Own Your Power, this clip this week is about being playful and fun in whatever you do, because you're just going to move so much faster. And so it's just really timely that you made that response, because that's exactly what I'm working on for next week's Own Your Power clip on my podcast.
Love it.
Yeah. So what are some lessons that you've learned? And I know I didn't prep you for any of this, so just do the best you can. What are some lessons you've learned about the business or life, either way you choose, in the last few years as you've grown?
Well, so a couple pieces to that. I think, I've learned when we take over a building, we'll always initially try to maintain the staff, that is with that building. Sometimes it's one office manager type person and like maybe one maintenance person even, right? And they're subbing out some. So we'll always try to do that and give them the benefit. And in most cases, I think that's worked out well. But in other cases, I think that we've been kind of taken advantage of, honestly. And even maybe the prior owner may have been taken advantage of and knowing it or not knowing it. So you need to really know your buildings, and from our space, when you're not thousands of doors into this, you need to know your buildings. That would be one thing, and know the people that are working there to make sure that they have, your best interests in mind. I would definitely say that. And the second part
it's funny. It's funny. Before you go on to the second thing, it's funny. It's obvious that you're in an urban climate because when you buy a building singular, which, in Cleveland, there are lots of, where there's one building has 40, 50, 60, 70 units in it, which is,
sure.
So anyway, sorry. What's the second thing? Sorry.
Yeah, totally. So the other thing that I've learned, it's sort of different. If you're a guy that, or a group that has a dozen doors or 25 doors, you at some point you sort of know your tenants and their personality. When you take over something that's bigger, we just recently took over a 90 unit building. There's a lot of humans. When you buy a 90 unit building, there's a lot going on.
A lot of families.
And it doesn't matter, we always walk all of our units, and, that's real important to us. And it doesn't matter how much due diligence you do. Once you close and then the first month goes by and you start seeing some rent not coming in. So I've really learned too, the importance when you take a building over, there's going to be a purge, at least for us, we're always kind of
interesting.
Yeah. That's what we've run into again.
Well, sometimes they'll fill up the units and not do the proper screening to get it sold. So that's very common. That you'll have a little bit of that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well,
yep.
I know you mentioned on the notes that you didn't necessarily have the best tenants in that property that you're talking about there.
Yeah.
What would you go back and do differently, if anything, on that building, if you could?
Well, so that building, that 90 unit building, we purchased it from the original builder, and he was like in his early 80s, right? And believe it or not, he still came to the building. That was like his why. And really a great guy. But I think that at that point, maybe it had gotten away from him a little bit. You just have to you have to go into it, I think, eyes wide open, not be naive, go into it eyes wide open. And it's okay. We're sort of comfortable doing that. We'll purge out tenants, and then that gives us an opportunity to go do some of our renovations and whatnot and get the rents up. So we don't look at it as a bad thing, if that makes sense.
No, agreed. And I love it when I run across those old landlords like that, man. They're still collecting rent. They're in their 80s. Yeah. And, I've met some that are so frugal, they see a piece of copper on the side of the road. They'll stop and pick it up, and they're like gazillionaires. So it's hilarious to me.
So true.
But so let me ask you this, Phil, what do you think is your unique skill set or superpower as it relates to this business? You're in the auto business, so sales is, that's like, you live, eat, and breathe sales. Now, maybe you're not in that piece of the business. I don't know, but so I'm pre-framing this because, those of you listening, that there are different places that you can add value into this business. You can be the sales, it can be the analytics, it can be the process, the asset management, project management after the fact. It can be, raising equity, building relationships with brokers, so on and so forth. So what is yours, Phil, or what combination of skills do you bring? Because I know you're a small team too.
Yeah, we're small. Well, it's certainly not the analytics. I'm not the guy that loves to get, jump into the Excel spreadsheets. That's just not my mindset. I think the sales piece. So we will try to find buildings, and go direct to seller. So there's no broker involved. And we've had, we're not buying a building a month or anything like that. So we've had success getting in front of sellers where there might be another couple of groups or people and being able to win a deal. But nothing crazy. Just
okay. Hold on. Before you move from that, what do you think separated you from the other potential purchasers? Was it your sales ability? Was it your ability to build rapport? Just elaborate on why you think you were successful versus those others.
Okay. So honestly, I think the rapport piece is certainly huge.
Right.
And taking the time to listen to the seller, right? I think that's a big deal. just being sincere and being genuine. No,
Yeah.
just I can't stress that enough. That goes so far. You cannot fake sincerity. The sellers see that, and so maybe that's been one of the things that's
Huge.
helped out.
That's so freaking huge. Don't try to be something you're not, guys.
Yes.
You're out there talking to a seller. Just be yourself.
Yeah.
With all the bumps and bruises and, oohs and, don't try to be so polished, because it doesn't work. Just be real. Love it. That is great advice.
Yep.
So Phil, if you were to go all the way back to before you got into real estate, and we took away all the money, the car dealership, maybe you just have a regular 9-to-5 job, but you have your knowledge that you have today, what do you think you would do to get started? And what do you think that our listeners should do to get started that are maybe in that scenario to where they're just working a regular 9-to-5 job and don't have a ton of income coming in to buy these deals?
Well, that's easy. So it's the education piece, right? So I lost a number of years. Again, I wasn't doing anything wrong. We were doing these buy, fix, and sells, or focusing on these small single family assets. So get into a group, your group, Rod's group. If it's not that, another one. Get into a mastermind. Go to meetups. And I know, we hear this a lot, but it is so true. Get in, get active, be involved, contribute. However you can contribute. Does not have to be with money or your balance sheet, or however you can contribute. And I think that really magical things can happen. Just to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's great advice. Yeah. By the way, guys, if you're interested in the Warrior program, if you want to apply, text the word crush to 72345, so we can help you crush it in this business. Now, it's an application. I mean, we're checking you out, you're checking us out, and we don't take everybody, but it's an incredible group. We're very proud of it. So again, just text crush to 72345 to get on a call with our team. What last words of wisdom would you share with somebody that's listening that knows they want more out of life? Maybe they're fearful, maybe they've got some limiting beliefs about their abilities, or maybe they're comfortable, which, we all know is a warm place, but nothing grows there. What would you tell that person that hasn't taken action yet? What might you say to them?
Well, something that I think about often, and I know it's been said, I think on this show, certainly probably Tony Robbins, right? I think a lot of times we underestimate what we can accomplish, right? In 3 or 5 years, we overestimate what we can do in a year. Right. Get started, right? And I know we've heard it, but it's true. 12 months will go by quick. You'll be at year 3 or 4 or 5, and you'll look up and you will just be you'll be very surprised at what you can do in 3 or 4 or 5 years, right? So don't always think about year 1 or how much we made in that first year. Don't get caught up in all that. Yeah. That's been, big.
So don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate.
There you go.
Wait, right?
Yeah. And zoom out a little bit, right? I get that all the time. People asking me, well, how long does it take to get your first deal? Or what does it look like in the first 12 months? But the idea is, zoom out a little bit of what you're thinking, and think a little bit bigger of what you're going to look like in 3 to 5 years. Don't worry about that. I was just going to say that.
Set your goals higher. The way that the society is now, and all these distractions and everything going on, I just think too many people have just low objectives and low expectations. Just set your goals higher. Make it great. I know Rod talks about that, and vision boards and these different things. It's true. Just do it.
Yeah, it works. It works.
Yeah, it works. Yeah.
Well, thank you, brother. I really appreciate you being on the show. It's great to see you. I need to get my butt back up to Cleveland. We almost bought a deal in Shaker Heights, and love that area. Really missed out on that one, but it's great to see you, buddy. And I know we've got our Warrior Only event coming up here in Sarasota. I don't know if you can make it. Would love to see you there. And then, of course, we've got the December boot camp as well in Orlando. But anyway, great to see you, buddy. And I'm looking forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, Rod.
Thanks, Bill.
So one other quick thing. We encounter so many people that are frankly frustrated. They're looking in the mirror and they're frustrated that they haven't been able to escape the rat race. They haven't been able to build cash flow to the point where they're able to have financial and time freedom with their families. And And maybe they see other people buying real estate and creating, incredible cash flow. And they think, well, it's just scary. Buying apartments is intimidating. And I get it. But see, that's why we created our Warrior Mentorship Program. They're our coaching students, and they've had extraordinary results. My students, I've been teaching about 5 years, and they own upwards of 140,000 units now that we know of, right? And we feel like it's just getting going. Now, we're looking to grow this group and really take it to the next level. And honestly believe that the greatest transfer of wealth could be upon us right now with this current economic environment. Everything's going on sale. So we're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework, really like a blueprint or a map, literally step by step. And then they're able to leverage our systems and our incredible network to raise money and equity, to find deals and close those deals and build partnerships, really nationwide. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more in our incredible network and take advantage of the unbelievable opportunities that are upon us, you can apply to my Warrior Mentorship Program by texting the word CRUSH to 72345, or you can go to mentorwithrod.com. And what we'll do is we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out and see if it's a fit. Now, again, you can go to mentorwithrod.com or text the word CRUSH to 72345 to apply, and we will speak soon.